All right, let's take a trip to one of Scotland's most magnificent ruins, Linlithgow Palace. But here's the thing, this is way more than just a collection of old stones. This place was the birthplace of a tragic queen, a playground for powerful kings, and its walls are just packed with centuries of secrets. So, let's jump right in. But before we even get to the kings and queens, let's talk about the residents who never actually left. Linlithgow has this incredible reputation, this big, spooky title, the most haunted palace in Scotland. We're going to dive into all the history and the amazing architecture, but just keep this in the back of your mind. As we walk these halls, some people say, we're not exactly alone. Okay, so who actually built this incredible place? Well, the story of Linlithgow is basically the story of the Scottish monarchy itself. This was never just a building, it was a massive symbol of power and honestly, a much-loved home for generations of Scottish royalty. And you can really see how this place grew over time. It all kicks off way back in the 12th century with King David I. Then, a couple of centuries later, King Robert II gives it a major makeover. But the real game changer? That's the 15th century, with James IV and James V. They turned it into what was known as a pleasure palace. And that means it wasn't just about defense anymore. No, this was the spot for huge parties, royal get-togethers, and just pure luxury. Of course, you absolutely cannot talk about Linlithgow without mentioning its most famous and, let's be honest, most tragic resident, the one and only Mary, Queen of Scots. I mean, she was literally born right here, inside these walls. And for a while, this was her home with her doomed husband, Lord Darnley. So you have this incredible mix of a royal birthright next to the shadow of betrayal. Okay, you ready? Let's imagine we're pushing open those huge, heavy doors and stepping inside. We are now walking through the exact rooms where the entire fate of Scotland was shaped. Pretty wild, right? All right, first stop is the Great Hall. And I mean, this was the absolute center of everything, the real heart of the palace. Just try to picture it. Enormous royal feasts, grand ceremonies, the king himself holding court in this very spot. Even today, as a ruin without a roof, the size of it, it's just breathtaking. And just look at the details here. You've got this incredible Gothic architecture, right? And those ceilings were designed to make your jaw drop. But what's really cool is how it mixes different styles. You'll spot Scottish symbols, like the unicorn, right next to the French fleur-de-lis. Why? Well, that's a nod to the Old Alliance, this super important, long-running pact between Scotland and France. It's history, literally carved right into the stone. Okay, so we're leaving the big, public spectacle of the Great Hall, and now we're heading into a space that's much more private, much more spiritual, the Royal Chapel. This is where the royal family would come for quiet worship. Wow, the level of detail in here is just amazing. I mean, the medieval architecture is beautiful on its own, but get a load of those intricate stone carvings. And can you just imagine the light streaming through what would have been these glorious stained glass windows? It's just a perfect example of the incredible skill of the people who built this place. So the walls themselves tell the big, grand story of kings and queens. But it's the little things, the artifacts found inside, that tell the personal stories. They're like a little window, a direct peek into what daily life was actually like for the people here. So you've got the huge, impressive stuff like the tapestries that would have covered these cold stone walls, but then you have the really personal items. Think about it, old coins that someone dropped centuries ago, pieces of pottery, even old-school graffiti, inscriptions left behind that connect us directly to the people who were walking these same halls. All right, but the story of Linlithgow doesn't stop at the stone walls. Oh no, we've got to talk about the grounds, the legends, and yeah, even its modern-day fame. So let's step outside. And the whole vibe just changes instantly. All of a sudden, you're in these gorgeous, manicured gardens. It's so peaceful, just a perfect place to walk around. And the views you get from here of the West Lothian countryside, just stunning. And a place this dramatic and beautiful doesn't go unnoticed, especially not by Hollywood. The palace has been used as a filming location for a bunch of things, but it's probably most famous for playing the role of the very scary Wentworth prison in the TV show Outlander. So yeah, you might have seen these walls before on your screen. Okay, so maybe now you're thinking, I've got to see this place for myself. And if you are, that's awesome. So let's get into the nitty-gritty, the practical stuff you need to know to plan your own trip to Linlithgow. Just a quick heads up when you're planning your trip. The opening hours do get shorter in the winter, so it's always a good idea to double check before you head out. The admission prices are super reasonable. And hey, kids under 5 are free, so it's a really great option for a family day out. So if you want to get the most out of your visit, here's what I'd recommend. Definitely start with a guided tour. It just gives you all that amazing historical backstory. After that, make sure you leave plenty of time to just wander through the gardens and check out the cute little village nearby. But if you want a really special experience, try to line up your visit with one of the events the palace hosts. And this is when the palace really truly comes alive. I'm talking concerts, traditional Scottish dances, they're called sealies, and they are so much fun. And even Highland games, all happening on these historic grounds. The big one, though, is the annual Linlithgow Palace Festival. It's this huge party that just fills the entire place with music and energy. So there you have it. It's a royal playground, a TV star, and maybe, just maybe, a haunted palace. Linlithgow is so much more than just a ruin, right? It's like a library of stories just waiting to be read. It could be the story of a ghost or the echo of a massive party from 500 years ago. The real question is, if you were to walk through those halls, what stories do you think you'd find?